getting so much better at this. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Oh. I didn't expect him to say anything. We're going to be starting a new series, subject, topic with this week's episode.
All of the above.
Yes. But first, Asha, what you got?
Riddle me this.
Do we need a buzzer?
Nah.
Okay.
You can work as a team also.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. We'll work as a team.
You don't have to.
Jeez.
Okay. What is it that no one wants but no one wants to lose?
What is it that no one wants, but no one wants to lose?
Life.
No one wants life? You can work together.
I'm not working with these two.
A fight.
Everybody wants to fight?
No one
that's
wants
a
to
good
fight,
one.
but no one wants
That's
to
a
lose
good.
a
That's
fight.
a good answer.
It's not the answer, but it is
Like
an
a
acceptable.
war, a battle?
Should I just give it to you?
Am I close?
Yeah.
Is it a synonym?
No.
An
no.
argument?
War.
Warmer.
War.
A debate?
Very warm.
A case?
A court case.
Very, very warm.
A
Okay.
trial? Arrested? You don't want to lose.
I'll just give. You're very close. I'm just gonna give it to you. A lawsuit.
Lawsuit. I feel like all of my other answers were also applicable.
Okay.
They were. To
Good
an
job.
extent.
What do you mean to an extent?
I feel like life was a good answer too.
No, it wasn't. Stop it.
I have many faces, expressions, and emotions, and I'm usually right at your fingertips. What am I?
A phone.
Nar.
A watch.
Nar.
Social media.
Nar.
No.
many
Many
faces,
faces.
expressions, and what?
And emotions.
And the remote. TV remote. TV.
Nar. Did you see it?
A book.
It is.
A book?
Nar.
Ah.
So
Can I get a
it's-
hint? Some type of hint.
It's in front of you.
The screen.
No, it's not in front of you.
This is like
It could be in front of you.
A
You use
mirror.
it- No,
Ah!
you use it every day. No,
What do we use every day?
you
that
use
has-
it every day. You take it with you.
my brain. My face. I don't know.
It's at
Nar.
your fingertips.
It's something you use.
Did I use it today?
Your phone?
Yes.
She said your phone.
That was my first.
No, but that's not the answer.
Oh.
That's a hint.
That was the hint?
Yeah.
Your camera.
Nar.
What does it start with?
E.
E. Your eyes.
Nar.
Okay.
Your eyes are at your fingertips?
I don't know.
Walk
Right.
around like
Right
this all the
here.
time?
Oh wait, the germs.
Yes, I touched it. So what?
All right. Do you guys give up?
E?
Sure. What is it?
Emojis.
Goodbye.
Emojis?
Goodbye. Yeah, that was actually really good. Emojis? Okay, thank you.
Okay. You are my brother, but I am not your brother.
What?
Who am I?
You're my brother, but I'm not your friend.
No.
No, I didn't hear the last word either. So
You are my brother, but I am not your brother. Who am I?
You're my brother, I'm not your brother.
A brother
I'm
in
your
Christ.
sister.
Correct. Good job.
Wow.
That wasn't. There we go.
What is stronger than steel but can't handle the sun?
Stronger than what?
Steel.
Stronger than steel, but cannot handle the sun. Water? I don't know.
Nar. You're very close to whoever said water,
Ice.
though. Yes, correct.
I was okay. Well, I was thinking ice when I said
Wait, was that really the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
This one's kind of long though. Okay. I can be long or can be short. I can be black, white, brown, or purple. You can find me all over the world, and I am often the main feature. What am I?
And you're the main feature?
Often I am the main feature.
A table?
Nar.
Can be long,
I can be long or
short.
short. Brown, black. What were the color options?
Or purple.
Black, white, brown, or purple.
All over the world.
This is a good one.
I have no clue.
Is it a type of flower?
Not necessarily.
Is it an object or is it something that lives?
I'm sorry, is it an object or what?
Or like something that's alive?
That's alive?
Yeah.
It's not alive.
So it's an object.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Asha.
Is it an everyday object?
You can have it every day.
Is it something you ingest?
Why should it be something silly like email or something?
Toothbrush. I have a purple
Long or
toothbrush right now. I'm
short?
sorry.
Brown, black, white, or purple. All around the world and oftentimes the main feature.
A
The
car.
sunset. The sky. I really thought it was the sky.
When
Well,
is the
how would
sky
it be long
brown?
or short?
When there's like a hurricane or something. I don't know.
All right, I believe in you guys, but I don't think you're gonna get it.
Can I get a hint?
You were very close to whoever said flower. It is something you eat. No, it's not salad.
Something we eat. I said flower. When I said flower, I thought of lavender. But we don't do lavender.
You can.
You can.
It's a grain.
A grain, is that the answer?
No.
Oh, it's a.
It is a grain though.
Yes. No,
Rice?
it's not quinoa. Yes, it's rice.
You said it's quinoa?
Rice.
It's rice? Someone pull
rice?
up purple rice for me right now. Purple rice. I know purple cabbage.
I read it off the thing.
That's black.
That's
Black rice, also known as purple rice or forbidden rice.
You see, that was a trick question, trick riddle, because it said black, purple. Well, black and purple is the same thing.
in the case of this rice.
I feel cheated on. Shut your
I'm not
mouth.
gonna say-
Shut your mouth.
What is it that given one, you'll either have two or none?
If you're given one, you'll have two or none.
Mm-hmm.
When you get one of those like dual like stuck together popsicle stick things with the two sticks and you have to break it.
Those are
So
so
you
good.
get one, but you really got two.
Or none.
Because if you eat it really fast, you have none.
Now,
I really did not hear the end of that riddle. So can you repeat the riddle just to make sure?
Can you put
that
it all in text at the bottom?
Is it a food item?
no.
Okay.
What is it that given one, you'll either have two or none?
A problem.
You are very close.
a solution,
No.
A dilemma.
a question.
It was a question?
You have a question or that's your answer?
That was the
That was my
answer.
answer.
No.
She really looked like I got it.
Wow, good job, Kevin.
So a problem is very close. A fight.
No.
Problem.
A hypothesis. Okay.
No.
Are you Googling it?
No.
Oh, you should.
I'm looking up synonyms for a problem.
If you get
Trouble.
Trouble,
Issues.
trouble.
Difficulties.
if you get one, you get two or none. Is that
Yeah.
the just?
You'll either have 2 or 1.
You'll either have 2 or 1.
2 or none. Sorry.
None. Okay.
Yeah, none.
Is it a body part? No?
Now,
Okay.
All right. Let's try to be logical. We're very close with the word problem,
Mhm.
right?
but don't take problem too literally.
Okay, that's going to be my next
Like you were on the
question.
right track, but
And it's not an issue. It's not a fight. Problem.
An argument?
I said argument.
okay,
Oh.
but no, it's not. Don't take it too literally. When I say problem, don't take it like that. It's like
How should I take the word
I
problem?
bet you problem has nothing to do with the answer.
no, it doesn't. But I'm telling you, like when you guys were throwing out answers before, it
concept?
was keep going. Like it's somewhere there. You're almost close. You're close, but it's not. You're not at the same time.
Can you give us a hint?
You have to make these every single day, and it's not a food.
Okay. Decisions.
I'll give it to you. It's
Life
a
choices.
choice.
So as a result of your
That's
choice,
right.
you'll either have to make another choice or no.
Or none. What have we learned from this today?
I don't see how if you get 1, you get 2. I don't see how that.
Because you have to make a choice as a result of that choice. So if I choose to wear a certain outfit, I'll have to choose to do something about it. Like if I wear a dress, I'll have to wear shorts underneath,
On, yeah.
right? Like something like that. Like
Yeah.
you have to make a decision based off of your choice.
Well, he wouldn't, but yeah.
Not in that situation, but that's just an example.
Okay, last one.
Oh, there's more?
Last one. I just know that this one's gonna get you guys all fired up. What has 10 letters and starts with gas?
Can you repeat that for me?
What has 10 letters and starts with gas?
Gasp.
10 letters.
That's 9.
Surprises. No, that's 9.
Starts with the word gas. G.
Gas.
Yeah.
Gaslighting.
Is that the answer?
No.
Oh.
Gas.
You guys can work on a team on this one.
10 letters and starts with gas.
When did this become Wordle? Like, what are we doing?
Gasoline's 9. I counted.
Repeat it one more time. One more
Okay.
It's 10 letters and
Uh-huh.
it starts with gas.
That's the whole thing? There's nothing.
G-A-S.
Gastric bypass. I don't know. That was it?
No. No.
That's where the
I'm thinking like a car, a rocket ship, cooking.
It starts with GAS.
Like the word or like the object?
I cannot disclose that information to you. What has 10 letters and starts with gas?
Rocket ship?
No.
Automobile.
Correct. You are correct.
Thank you.
Thanks for playing, guys. Back to you.
That was tough.
That was. Give it to you. That was a good one. All right. So today
Mm.
we will be talking about the fact that God is in control. What? Oh. So regardless of the situations, regardless of the circumstances you're in, God is in control, right? So like when we were doing the riddles and we didn't think we'd be able to pull through, we pulled through. Right?
Did we though?
Did you?
Yeah, we
How many?
were strong.
How many of them did we get right?
Doesn't matter.
Most
we
of them.
ended
I got
it
most
right.
of them.
After like 20 hints though.
No.
I mean,
I didn't get that
to,
many
like, rain on
hints.
your parade, like, but after 20 tries.
First of all, you didn't
I didn't
even
say 20
try.
tries.
You
There
literally
was a lot
just
more
did.
than tries.
Trying to get
No, I
20
said
hints?
20 hints. Hints and tries are not the same thing.
Oh my gosh, I was just saying.
Anyway, I would like God to take control of this situation right now. So let's move on in this conversation.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Honestly. So, my question was going to be, has there been a difficult situation that you faced?
Just now. It was
concur.
hard.
It was very difficult. Were you able to see God's wisdom at work in that situation while it was happening, or was it more of an after the fact kind of hindsight type of thing?
Well, that's a question for you. You said just now, so.
Well, you think of your own situation.
Do I have to use that just now?
No, you don't. Have to
Okay,
use that.
thank you, because I was about to speak, I don't know. Yeah, I've been in a situation like that before. It's pretty rough. I think in the situation, I felt like I don't know if I was going to get out of it. It was hard to trust God in that moment. But I had to make a choice, so he got me through it. When I look back at it, it was like it was all him.
But in the moment, did you know?
No.
Could you tell?
What do we? Oh, okay. So I mean, you could have shared your feelings.
I
and
asked
thoughts
the
on
question.
It doesn't mean you can't answer it.
I didn't say I wasn't going to.
All right, so you could have shared.
All right,
first.
go ahead, answer the question.
So I think yes. I've seen God work in situations. There have been times when I've known it's Him in that moment, and there's been other times where I had to kind of look back and be like, okay, no, that was Him. Yeah.
Nice. So moving on. No. I think when I have been in the difficult situation, it's harder to see God's hand moving because I get very caught up in emotion. And that's something that I've been vocal about the fact that I've been working on. But I think when I've seen difficult situations unfold, I've seen where God has worked in like real time, because there are times where like it's someone is going through this difficult situation, right? And you know them like really well, particularly well, whatever. And you see how they're doing things differently than they would have if God wasn't in control of that situation, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like I know your mannerisms and how you would normally act, but I also see the fact that God is working in the situation, therefore you're not doing that. So I've kind of seen it both ways in that kind of mindset. And so in those situations, right, it's not always easy to act with courage, right? A lot of times it's harder to take that courageous stance or position. So what would you say are some of the keys in facing those situations in life, or to facing those situations in life?
I think when you're in those situations, I think the pastor spoke about this on Sunday or recently in one of his sermons, where there are times in your life when you're going to find yourself in situations in which you're not going to be able to necessarily call the pastor or an elder or just someone else for advice or help or for them to pray with you. You have to, in those moments, have that relationship with God, have that foundation, have that faith in Him that He can and will see you through it, right? That you at that point, it really comes down to, do you have faith in God, yes or no? And I think for a lot of us, sometimes when we get in those situations, when we don't have the right foundation with our relationship with God, it's hard for us to say yes because we genuinely don't know if He can, because we don't have the relationship with Him.
Yep. Go ahead.
I think even sometimes when you do have the right relationship and foundation with God, it still gets difficult. But I think because we have that relationship, you can like fall back on that. So if you feel what you need to feel, but I guess that's just like the plus out of that.
I think it's normal to feel certain things, but because you do have that relationship, you're more secure in what it is that you're feeling and what you're going through. And so we're going to take a look at Psalms chapter 90, right? And Moses is talking in this chapter, and he starts out with saying, right, Lord, through all the generations, you've been our home, right? So he's equating the Lord to a dwelling place, right, to our safe space, to your home. And when he does that, he kind of, it kind of puts God as that staple that you constantly come back to, right? Because you will always go home. You can move houses, whatever, but you always come home, right? That concept of home is what the Lord should be to you, right? And through all of these generations, you have always been home. So what does it mean to find home in God? How would you describe that situation, that feeling to someone?
I think it's like a safe space. Like when you think of home, you think of that's where you're safe, that's where you can rest. And in God, like your dwelling place is where you can rest at his feet. And no matter what situation you're in, if you're saying God is home, then you'll be okay. Like for me, after a long day of work or a long situation or whatever I was in, I want to go home and relax and rest. So if I say, you know, God is my home, I know I could find comfort there, in which he does comfort us.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's maybe in the next chapter. I don't know if it's Moses writing again, but it starts with is it the Lord is
The Lamb?
those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I think that again there is this there is an emphasis on the fact that God is a place of rest, of maybe security, things you would feel at home,
Yep.
right? And I think that's something that, again, going back to your original question, right, of what do you do in those difficult situations, right? Being able to go home to God, right, is a level of security in a situation.
Yeah, I think like as we're going through these different avenues of life, right, and we face different issues and different trials as we're like, you know, growing up and like learning how to navigate the world, it's important to have that place to call home within God, right? Because a lot of times, like when you're growing up, or if you don't have that foundation, right, like if you're like still learning how to build that relationship and stuff with God, it can be easy to find solace in the wrong things, right? I can have friends that aren't within the church, right, that are of the world, that tell me that I can do certain things. But because I don't have that home within God, I can listen to them and be like, you know what, that actually doesn't sound bad. So maybe there is truth in what you're saying, right? But when we find that secure place in God and we learn to trust him in every avenue of our life, it even goes back to in Proverbs in 3:6, I believe it is, where it's like, in all your ways acknowledge him, right? And he will direct your path. So first you find security in God, right? He is your home, he is your dwelling place, he's your comfort.
Yep.
And then as a result of you finding that home in God, he will then direct your path and lead you where it is that he needs you to be, or wherever it is you're called to be. Because a lot of times, unless you have him guiding that path, you're not going to know what your calling is, right? Like we talked about in the last episode, and he asked me what my purpose for life is, right? If I don't have a relationship with God, I won't know what his purpose for having me here is, right? And so, how do we, I guess, we can learn to trust God and learn to have him direct our paths, but how do we build that trust? How do because I know I had struggled with this, where it's like, I like to be in control of a situation, right? I like to know why I'm doing something, when I'm doing it, how, all of the details. But when you kind of rely on God and have him do that for you, sometimes you can be left at a loss, right? So God, I don't know where you're taking me, I'm just gonna have to trust you. How do we get to that point? How can we feel comfortable in trusting God's plan for us without knowing what it could be?
I think it really depends on how much time we spend with him, right? Because really I would, in some ways, I don't know if it's the best analogy, but I would equate it to how many times have you taken a bus or a train or a plane in which you don't know the operator of it, but you trust that it's going to get you to your destination or whatever, your stop, right? Yet with God, we're sometimes hesitant, right? And I think it's because we don't trust in, we have a very solid understanding of the way a train works, the way a bus works, the way an airplane works, right? And I would even hesitate to say solid understanding of how an airplane works, because I'm pretty sure none of us actually understand how an airplane
It goes in the
stays
sky.
in the sky, right? It's literally a box of metal in the sky, right?
Can I call a friend? Can I phone a friend?
Right, but that's what I'm saying though, right? But we trust that the guy that's in the pilot, he knows how it works
Yeah.
and is able to do it, right? So I think when it comes to God, it's, are we able to rely on who he is, right? And less of, has he done this before, right? Because I don't think any of us, look, I don't know how many flights you've been on, but I'm sure at some point one of us has been on a flight in which that was that pilot's like first time being the main pilot, right? We didn't know that, right? We just assumed, right? And I think with God, for some reason, there's a hesitancy to trust him where I think we should really be leaning into, okay, God is this, and this, right? He's all-knowing, all-powerful, and he's everywhere, right? Those are like the three main, or not three main, but those are three big attributes of God, right? If you can trust in those, well then, he should be able to handle the situation in front of us, right? Or in front of me, right? He should be able to handle this, and this, because he is these things, right? I think too often we're looking for God when we're in a situation at work for him to show up as like a co-worker with us and lead us through it, where that's not what God does, right? God doesn't have to necessarily get down in the dirt with us, right? And I think that's what we're looking for. And I don't think that's how God operates sometimes.
I think one of the things that I had to learn is that God's plan will always be known to me as I'm going through it, right? So like even if we talked about earlier, or did we mention in the last episode where it's like, no, it was just earlier in this episode, where it's like you don't always see God working in this difficult situation, but you can look back and see like, okay, this is where he led me through it, right? And one of the things I had to learn is that I'm not always going to see it in the moment. I'm not always going to know that this is God. It's like right off the bat, like this is God like walking me through this. But in looking back and reflecting in my situations and everything that I've been through, you can see that, okay, this is where he is and this is how you can find him. Like this is where you can recognize that it's God moving in your situation going forward.
And I think that's why there's a big part of our faith that I think we don't talk about enough, which is the actual act of reflecting on what God has done, right? Like actually going through, hey, you know what? I just came out of this situation. How did that happen, right? Not just enjoying the fact that you got through it, but actually taking a minute to go, oh, you know what? I was praying for X, Y, and Z, and God delivered in this way. And maybe he didn't do X and Y. He only needed to do like one of them, right? But this is how God delivered, right? So the next time I'm in that bad work situation, or it's a school thing, or it's a family, whatever it is, right? Well, God, he didn't even answer my prayer. He just handled the situation.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, God, well, here I am again, another situation, right? How are you going to lead me through this, right? And I think when we are able to have that, to really spend time in reflection on what happened, I think with God, I think it will change your prayer for the next situation.
Yeah. I feel like upon reflection, you will know more specifically what it is that you should be asking or talking to God about.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the things that I found myself, like when I'm with the kids and talking to them and teaching them and stuff, it's like a lot of times we ask for things that we don't need, right? But we want it. And so that's not to say that God's not going to answer your prayer, but he will respond in the way that you need him to, right? You may not notice it. It may not be the way you want it to be. It may not be as clear as you think it should be. But when you look back at the situations you've come from, or like what you've asked God for, you'll see it in different ways, right? So like one of the examples we had was like someone was being bullied, right? And they're like, oh God, I want you to take care of this bully, handle them. That doesn't mean like someone's gonna come beat them up for you, but maybe they have a change of heart. Maybe something happens to them and they're like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be doing these things. And so that's where God's working.
Yeah.
So it's not always the way that you expect it, the way you want it to be, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And so further along in Psalm chapter 90, Moses talked about timing, right? So as we're going on in our life, that we encounter different phases. And everyone says this all the time, but life is short, right? In comparison to the fact that God has been around before time, up until now, and he will still be around after we're gone, right? When you compare your lifespan to the amount of time that God has been around, it's literally like a blip in time. And so a lot of times when we're in certain situations, we're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Like, I don't know how we're going to get through this, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, literally, you have the God of the universe. Literally, right here. Like,
Well, I think that's again going back to how deep is your relationship with God to be able to look beyond yourself.
the
Right? Like not even the situation.
Yeah.
But to be able to look beyond you, right? And to know literally that this whole thing does not revolve around you, right? But rather we're revolving around God's timing, right? And when you begin to understand that, you kind of go, oh, okay, okay, God, I'm going to trust you to lead me now, right? If you're telling me to stay here in this situation, then okay, I'm going to stay. If you're creating a way out, and you're telling me to take it, I'll take. I think that's what happens all the time, where we are so caught up in ourselves that we can't see God working, and we can't see that there is life beyond this situation.
Like even in as I was like doing the study for this topic and stuff, there's in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, right? There is a. It even goes on explicitly to say in a chunk of 8 verses. Should I read them all out for the crowd? Okay. The title of the chapter, or the portion of the chapter, is A Time for Everything. Right? So for everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away. I have to look at her because she likes to embrace. And I like to turn away.
This is not about me.
A time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Right? So in the brevity of our life, right, there is a time for everything that needs to get done. Right? So you can be going through a situation right now, and that could be your time to have a low, right? That doesn't mean it's going to last forever. That doesn't mean that's the only thing you're ever going to experience, but it means that's the time for that, right? And just because it's a low doesn't mean you're not going to gain anything from the situation. It doesn't mean you're not going to grow. But if you don't take the situation for what it is and what God's doing through it, then you probably won't really grow from it. Right? If you don't, like we were saying, if you don't reflect on the situation and what it might mean, you can't really move on from it. So, when you kind of put it in that perspective, and that there is a time for all of these things and a time for everything else, it can kind of seem that like the good and the bad times in your life are fixed. Right? You're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times, and that's just what it is, right? You can't move or you can't change your good or your bad times. But time is one of those things that's not absolute, right? Do we know what is absolute?
God.
Bingo. Insert buzzer noise here. Bing, bing, bing. But yes, God is the only absolute in terms of life, right? He's the only one that that has always been there, that will continue to always be there, and continue to know everything about every situation. So in the beginning, God made the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means he had to be there before that was created, right? And he had to be there before time was created. So therefore, if we can relinquish the control to God, right? And allow him to be in control and sovereign over our lives, then we can kind of rest easy in what that means for your life.
Mm-hmm.
So, because he created time and a place and everything else, he is in control of it and how it works, right? He is sovereign over the earth, and we can find comfort in the fact that he is, in fact, in control. I think at that point, it's really just a matter of you giving up your own, like, fleshly desire to be in control of every situation. Thoughts? Questions?
I agree.
Input? Anything?
There's a time for everything. I think a saying we say is there's always a season.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say, like, when you're in a low season or a low time, I think sometimes that's where God does the good work and great work, either for you or for us to reflect back upon. Even if you can't see it in the moment, sometimes when I'm in a season like that, I'll say, well, Chrissy, how big is your problem and how big is God?
Yeah.
And I think saying that to myself gets me through some rough patches, because it's like, at the time it feels like my world is crashing down, but when, like what you said earlier, this is the God of the universe, right? So how big is my problem? And that, I find comfort in that, knowing that he's got me through so many other things, he can get me through this one that seems so big. In reality, it's big, but not that big.
Like, it's big to me, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not.
Yeah, and I've been in a few situations where at the time I was like, this is the worst thing to happen to me, and then I go through something else, and I was like, wow, that was like not even comparable to this. Like, there's no comparison. I'm happy I actually went through that, because it matured me to go through this situation.
It, like, prepared me for things I could have faced.
The only person that would know that would be, like, God. Like, he knew I had to experience that in that situation so that I would be able to go through this situation. That's how I view it in certain things.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
You said hey?
Yeah.
Okay. Moral of the story, Kevin?
God's in control.
Amen. Hallelujah. Catch you on the flip side.